Secret Service agent who was actually in the car that day, you know what he said? He said it didn't happen. And they both said the first time they ever heard this story was when Ms. Hutchinson testified in the primetime hearing as their star witness of the January 6th committee. By the way, did you ever confirm her testimony about this particular incident?
Welcome back to America Wake. I'm Wilson. That was quite an opening clip. Watching that exchange, I think Jim Jordan raised some serious questions that deserve answers. What stood out to me was how he kept pressing for something simple, confirmation. If one of the most talked about stories from the January 6th hearings could not be backed up by first-hand witnesses, then it's fair to ask why it became such a major part of the narrative. No matter where you stand politically, credibility matters. Facts matter. And when different witnesses tell different stories, the American people deserve clarity. Today we're breaking down this exchange, looking at the arguments from both sides, and discussing why so many people are talking about it. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to America Wake, hit that like button, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Jim Jordan exposed a major problem here, or is there more to the story? Let's get into it.
Gentleman yields back. Mr. Smith, is Cassidy Hutchinson a liar? She was their star witness, January 6th committee, their star witness in one of those staged and choreographed hearings they paid the former president of ABC News to put together. She was, in fact, the only witness at this special prime-time hearing, Tuesday, June 28, 2022, 8 o'clock in the evening, and she told some stories. I mean, these were some stories. She talked about President lunged across the back seat, grabbed the steering wheel, tried to drive the car to the Capitol. And I just want to know, you think she was lying?
Chairman Jordan, my assessment of that particular issue is that with respect to the testimony about the president lunging towards the driver, my recollection of her testimony about that is that it was secondhand. She had said she'd heard that from somebody.
You familiar with the name Tony Ornato?
I'm sorry?
You familiar with the name Tony Ornato?
Yes.
White House Deputy Chief of Operations, Deputy Chief of Staff for Operations, right? You remember what he said about it?
As I sit here right now, I do not.
Yeah, he said it didn't happen. How about Bobby Engel? You familiar with that name?
Yes, I am.
Secret Service agent who was actually in the car that day. You know what he said? He said it didn't happen. And they both said the first time they ever heard this story was when Ms. Hutchinson testified in the primetime hearing as their star witness of the January 6th committee. By the way, did you ever confirm her testimony about this particular incident?
We conducted, as I said before, our own independent investigation of all aspects of the case that we thought was relevant. We, attorneys from my office...
Did you ever confirm it? That's a simple question.
Well, we interviewed her, I should say, attorneys in my office before.
Did you ever confirm the president leaping across the seat, grabbing the steering wheel, this whole concoction she brought up in the January 6th hearing? Did you ever confirm that?
Right. We interviewed another firsthand witness who was in the car who did not confirm that had happened, but also
in your deposition to the committee last month, Mr. Smith, you said this: my recollection with Ms. Hutchinson was a number of the things that she gave evidence on were secondhand hearsay. You remember making that statement to us last month in the deposition?
I did, and I was referring particularly to what we're talking about now.
Yeah, and you also said Ms. Hutchinson, regarding this particular claim, was a second or even third-hand witness. We asked you, if you were a defense attorney, how would you handle cross-examining her if she was on the witness stand? And you said, if I were a defense attorney and Ms. Hutchinson were a witness, the first thing I would do was seek to preclude her testimony because it was hearsay. You remember saying all that?
Yes, that's correct, sir.
That's correct, right? Were you going to put her on the witness stand if you ever got to trial?
We had not made final determinations as to who we were going to call as a witness. We had a large...
You were still considering her?
We had a large choice of witnesses in this case.
Are you familiar with what Washington Post reporters Carol Leonnig and Aaron Davis said in their book? They did this book, 300-some pages book on Chronicle and the whole investigation of the Justice Department. And here's what they said. on page 310. They said Jack Smith had wondered whether some of Hutchinson's claims might be relied upon at trial. Still, at one point, Smith told the elections team he wasn't ready to give up on Hutchinson's account. Ultimately, however, Trump administration officials uniformly, fiercely disputed her accounts under oath. Prosecutors on your team told Smith they wouldn't want to use Hutchinson as a witness in court, and Smith agreed. Are Carol Leonnig and Aaron Davis, who wrote this, are they lying?
My recollection is that I certainly had not made any final determinations about who we were going to call.
And that's the point. That is the point. The fact that they used her in a primetime hearing and you won't rule out using her, or didn't rule out using her, putting her on the witness stand when everybody knows she wasn't telling the truth, that says it all. That's the degree the left and Democrats were willing to go to get President Trump, putting on the witness stand someone everybody knows is making it up. Everybody knows that. And you were willing to do it. By the way, you know how many times Cassidy Hutchinson was mentioned in their report, the January 6th report? Any idea, Mr. Smith?
I do not.
185 times. Someone that the whole country knows wasn't telling the truth, and you were still considering putting her on the witness stand because you had to get President Trump. And everybody can see that. We better take a...
After watching the full video, my biggest takeaway is that Jim Jordan stayed focused on one issue the entire time: credibility. Jim Jordan wasn't arguing over small details. He went straight to one of the most memorable claims from the January 6th hearings, the story that Donald Trump allegedly tried to grab the steering wheel and lunge toward a Secret Service agent. What makes this exchange so important is that Jim Jordan kept pointing to people who were reportedly in a position to know what actually happened. According to the discussion, Tony Ornato disputed the story. Bobby Engel disputed the story. Another first-hand witness, interviewed by investigators, reportedly did not confirm it either. That's a big deal. If a claim is based on second-hand information and first-hand witnesses do not back it up, people are naturally going to question whether that claim should have carried so much weight. One of the most interesting moments came when Jack Smith acknowledged that parts of Cassidy Hutchinson's account were second-hand hearsay. Jim Jordan immediately focused on that point because courtroom standards exist for a reason. Claims need to be tested, evidence needs to be verified, and witnesses need to be challenged. Jim Jordan kept bringing the conversation back to that basic question: was the story ever confirmed? And honestly, I think that was the strongest part of his argument. Another key moment was when Jim Jordan referenced Jack Smith's previous comments about hearsay testimony. The point he was making was simple. If testimony has weaknesses serious enough that a defense attorney would challenge it, why was it treated as such a major piece of evidence in the public discussion? Now, to be fair, Jack Smith did not fully agree with Jim Jordan's conclusions. Jack Smith maintained that prosecutors had not made final decisions about potential witnesses, and that investigations involve reviewing a large amount of evidence before making those choices. But from my perspective, Jim Jordan controlled the direction of the conversation because he never let the central issue go. This hearing was really about trust. When the public hears a dramatic claim that dominates headlines for weeks or even months, people expect that claim to be supported by solid evidence. If questions later emerge about whether the story was ever verified, those questions deserve answers. That is why this exchange is getting so much attention. In my view, Jim Jordan was effective because he stayed disciplined. He focused on evidence, witness credibility, and confirmation rather than getting pulled into broader political arguments. Whether you agree with Jim Jordan or not, the hearing reopened a debate that many people thought was already settled. And judging by the reaction, that conversation is not ending anytime soon. Let me know what you think in the comments. Did Jim Jordan make a convincing case, or do you think important questions still remain unanswered?